When I was a kid, I had an old globe that had 3 countries on it that didn't exist. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania had been gobbled up by Stalin in the run-up to World War II. Years passed, and it turned out that it was the Soviet Union that was the make-believe country, and Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania had been there all along. During the years that it was invisible, Lithuania's memory was kept alive in Chicago, which had more Lithuanians than any city in Lithuania, not to mention the oldest Lithuanian restaurant in the world. But now that Lithuania is a country again, it's Lithuanian Chicago that's becoming a memory.
Bridgeport is a big mixture of different ethnic groups because the stockyards were like a mile and a half away, and a lot of people worked in the stockyards. There's the Irish and then the Croatians and Italians. This area of Halstead was primarily Lithuanian. Then the Poles and the Germans, and everybody stayed in their own little groups. But a lot of them would come. There were 6 Lithuanian restaurants here in Bridgeport, right on Halstead, up and down Halstead. And this is the last of its kind. My parents left Lithuania and went to Germany during the war, thinking that, after the war is over, they're going to go back. Well, after the war, there was no going back to Lithuania because that was all under communist rule. And my father was an editor of a newspaper, and that definitely would have sent him to Siberia. So, in order to come to this country, we were in the DP camps there, the displaced persons camps. I was born in Germany, as a matter of fact, almost on the train. My mother was saying, she says, it's time for me. And my uncle, who was a priest, says, be good, Annie, please wait. So I guess, I don't know, she crossed her legs or I just heard it and didn't come out. The Lithuanian newspaper Draugas, which is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year, was the sponsor for us to come to this country. They provided the job and help us find housing and stuff like that. The only thing, my father was not an editor here. He was just a linotypist. And in those days, it was lead. There was a pot of lead boiling right next to him. After about 10 years, the doctor had suggested to him that, you better look for something else. A friend of theirs helped us find a restaurant. He said, my mother says, I don't know the first thing about restaurants. My father says, well, I guess we could give it a try, And since there were 8 kids in our family, this fellow says, if you could cook for 10, you could cook for 100. So in 1960, they bought this restaurant. And about a year and a half later, my father died. So my mother was left with 8 kids. My youngest sister was 3. I was about 15 then. I was just a freshman in high school, that's it. And we all pitched in. This one's my favorite. I like the coarse mustard with a homemade horseradish. Pile that on. Clear your sinuses.
Hi, my name is Margie. I've been a healthy food restaurant waitress for approximately 20 years.
And are you Lithuanian?
I'm Bohemian. I'm born in the Pilsen many years ago that was sort of an ethnic group with Germans and Polish and Croatian and Bohemian coming from Europe. So that's where my grandparents came to that neighborhood to settle down.
So what's your favorite food on the menu?
I love the meat dumplings and kugelas. Meat dumplings would be sauerkraut soup is the highlight, like everyone's favorite sauerkraut soup, and good rye bread and butter. That's delicious. Some people are vegetarians or on a diet, or they don't want such hearty, strong food that sticks to the bones and the ribs.
Pancakes.
It's delicious. But the pancakes, we have like a delicious treat, like a French crepe, a delicious pancake with wonderful fruit on top, blueberries, strawberries, wonderful cheese, sour cream. That's a lighter version of a meal.
So these are boys from the neighborhood?
One of them, the mother had a restaurant here in Bridgeport, and they decided that they wanted to fly across the Atlantic because Lindbergh was flying, and the Wright brothers, all these, Amelia Earhart. So they wanted to try their hand, which they didn't make to Lithuania, but they made it across the Atlantic. The street at 900 West, just west of Halstead, a block west of Halstead, it's called Litwanica. It was renamed Litwanica.
And that was the name of their airplane?
That was the name of the airplane.
Now the amber, you're a fan of amber?
Well, it's Lithuanian gold.
Okay.
It comes from the Baltic Sea. This is a piece my mom brought over when she went to visit in the 70s. But it was just a piece, and they wouldn't let her take out the piece, so they had to make it into a piece of jewelry. So this was a pendant, and it had 3 balls of amber hanging from that. I've worn it once. Because all the stores that there were shops, jewelry shops or gift shops that carried amber, they're no longer here.
Now, what sort of person, besides me, of course, thinks a Kugelis t-shirt, that's what I need?
Yeah, lots of people. Anybody that likes Kugelis, anybody that makes Kugelis, anybody that eats. And then I decided to make an item on the menu, Breakfast of Champions. So you have Kugelis and eggs. And if you want, like Super Champions, you get a piece of sausage. That'll set you up for the whole day. I went to Lithuania to visit, and I saw that my cousin was making horseradish, and this is just what I need for grating potatoes for making kugelis. I said, I'll take this one and I'll buy you a new one, because I know the newer ones are smaller, more compact, and it's not for a lot of potatoes.
Yeah.
If you do 10 pounds, that's good enough for a family. And since I do maybe 50 pounds or at a time, it just grates those potatoes much faster, and the potatoes stay whiter.
Does the bacon come from a particular place, like the sausage does, or?
No, bacon is bacon. There's really not that much grease, as you see. Just gives it all the flavor. We don't add butter, we don't add other things, but it's just all the bacon. Salt.
Sugar.
And some sugar in there. And it's all natural. Everything is just all natural. No additives, no preservatives.
Now, with the name being healthy food, do you get people who come in thinking it's going to be a vegetarian restaurant now and then?
Yes. But this
Do you
restaurant's
convert
been
them?
Here, the restaurant's been here longer than health foods were in style. It's been here since '38. And healthy food is real food, no additives, no preservatives. So I just try to explain to them that this is what we always used to eat.
Any politicians that you recognize that have come in over the years? Anybody, like either of the Mayor Daley's or anything?
Mayor Daley, some of his family members have been here, and I've noticed other politicians.
The first mayor was here.
The first mayor,
He would come in.
he would come in with his family, sometimes on a Sunday morning with all the children and sis. It seems the old customers, most of them moved out of the neighborhood. The neighborhood changed quite a bit. It got more into Asian group, Spanish group. Different nationalities moved away.
Yeah, and I know Marquette Park was another Lithuanian
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that seems to mostly be gone now too.
Yeah, it kind of got integrated. Well, they kept moving that boundary line or whatever you want to call it. And then they had the kids coming to McKay School over there from across Western Avenue, and it just kind of got more integrated, but it wasn't, it's one thing to be integrated and another being taken over. And it seemed like, it was those times, you know, in the 60s. They had the marches in Marquette Park, in the park they had Martin Luther King, you know, that era, that era. There was too much animosity, so people just left.
Now, where'd the
Still a lot of
Lithuanian community
Lithuanians.
go after that? Do you know?
Well, they've been here long enough so that they don't necessarily have to go to a particular place. There's some that moved to Lamont. A lot of them just moved out southwest suburbs. You know, our parents came. They couldn't speak the language. So they kind of stuck together with Lithuanians and more. I still hang out with Lithuanians, but I speak English. They tell me with an accent. I said it's a Chicago accent.
We are here regularly, probably 2 times a week after swimming. We build up our appetites and we come over here and eat wonderful food.
Do you think it equals out, or?
No.
No, it's interesting. I love this place. I love the people that come here and you know, you talk to them and get all kinds of stories. Well,
Yeah, Wanda and Gina are, Healthy Foods is,
We will be very sorry.
it's a famous restaurant. I live in Hyde Park and I started swimming here and then all of a sudden I'm talking to my friends over there. You ought to come to Bridgeport. We've been to Bridgeport many times. It's one of our favorite places and I didn't know about it till I met Gina.
A
So
lot of
it's-
people, that's right.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of people in Hyde Park that come.
Yeah, right.
But they didn't say a word to us until
No.
we...
It was wonderful to be here. I met a lot of beautiful, interesting people. Very nice that I'll remember
Like family.
the rest of my life. They're like part of my family. They always will be.
Do you have any other favorite ethnic restaurant that you're going to go to when this is gone?
Not really. I try different nationalities. I go up north. I go with my dear friend, one friend, that he loves to visit different nationality restaurants. So we make a tour. We're like a James Ward of the restaurants. We go to different ethnic. He says, let's try this one. Let's try that one. That's what we like to do for a little sandwich or soup or their delicacy.
In the next Sky Full of Bacon, I go inside one of Chicago's largest restaurants to find out how small-scale farming fits into big-time dining. And check out these recent podcasts about a pie shop reviving classic Midwestern recipes, and a lady who makes bootleg raw milk cheese in her home. Go to skyfulofbacon.com/blog.